Good afternoon. The Public Safety Committee will now come to order. Madam Clerk, will you please call the roll?
Alderman Odenberg. Alderwoman Clark Hubbard. Alderwoman Alderwoman Velasquez. Alderwoman Sanye.
Present.
Alderman Aldrich.
Present.
Chair Narayan.
Here.
Alderman Odenberg. We have 5 present. We have quorum.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. With that, we will move to approval of the minutes of Thursday, May 29th, 2025. If anyone has reviewed those and has a motion.
I move that we approve the minutes from May 29th, 2025.
Second.
All right, it's been moved and seconded. Madam Clerk, could you please call the roll?
Alderman Odenberg. Alderwoman Clark Hubbard.
Aye.
Alderwoman Velasquez.
Aye.
Alderwoman Sanye.
Aye.
Alderman Aldrich.
Aye.
Chair Narayan.
Aye.
We have 5 aye votes.
All right. At this point, I'm going to turn the chair over to Vice Chair Aldridge because I'm going to go over Board Bill 43.
All right, Alderman Narayan, once you get to the podium, you may proceed on Board Bill 43.
Thank you, Vice Chair Aldridge. This is a really straightforward board bill. As many of you may remember, a couple of years ago, there was pretty severe flooding that took place in the 4th Ward when the River de Pere flooded. City emergency management, state emergency management, and federal emergency management were on scene there. And as a result of those floods and the studies that were done afterwards, there are 7 flood-prone properties that there's a voluntary buyout of. Board Bill number 43 establishes the policy for that buyout. It's necessary from SEMA, the State Emergency Management Program, and it meets the requirements of the Hazard Mitigation Grant Program. And this is the, I believe, second to last piece of legislation that will need to come into play as a result of those floods. I believe when we come back from the summer break, there will be one additional board bill that will have the actual funds. This is just the policy that we need. This is the framework to put those funds through. And with that, I ask for your favorable consideration.
All right, I will go in order of seniority. Alderwoman Odenberg. Alderwoman Clark Hubbard.
No questions, thank you.
Alderwoman Velasquez.
No questions, thank you.
Alderwoman Sanye.
No questions, thank you.
I have no questions. Madam Clerk, is there any public testimony on this board bill?
I do have someone online. They're not stating what it is, but I'll put them over right quick to see. One moment.
Okay.
I'll promote them. No, I don't show anyone.
All right. Well, with that, Alderman Narayan, you can close on your board bill.
With that, I renew my motion and just ask for a due pass recommendation on this bill.
All right. Well, can I get a motion for due pass recommendation on this board bill?
I move that we pass Board Bill 43 out of the Public Safety Committee with the due pass recommendation.
Second.
Previous roll. Seeing no objections to previous roll, Alderman, you have passed board bill out with a due pass recommendation.
Thank you. All right, thank you, Vice Chair Aldridge. Now at this point, we will take up the Prop S Subcommittee, where we will discuss the proposals from various community organizations and agencies related to youth crime prevention programs. The committee members should have either in front of them or in the drive the request for proposals for the 2024-2025 programs to reduce crime amongst youth. And at this point, we'll, I guess first we'll go with any public comment on if anyone's here to speak on it, and then we'll have kind of a less formal discussion as a committee regarding this, so that we can try and get these funds out as soon as possible. So Madam Clerk, if there's anyone here to speak on the Prop S funds, if you could please just call them forward and we'll go through them.
First, we have in support Mary Elizabeth.
Miss Elizabeth?
I think she's online. We're going to start with who's in person first right now.
Okay.
Let me see if she's on here, because we're going to have to go. Okay.
Sorry, I was on mute, so if I may.
Here we
This is
go.
Mary Elizabeth.
Hey,
Great.
could you please turn your camera on, Miss Elizabeth, so we can see you?
Oh, sure, of course. There we go. How's that?
Great. Now we can see you. So yeah, you have 3 minutes. Just go ahead and tell us what you'd like us to know.
Thank you. Good afternoon. My name is Mary Elizabeth Grimes, and I've had the pleasure of serving as president of Marion Middle School for over 10 years. I'm honored to speak before this distinguished group, particularly those who I've had the pleasure of meeting previously. Thank you for considering our proposal for programs to reduce crime among St. Louis inner city youth, specifically broadening our enrichment program in collaboration with the Missouri Archway chapter of Links Incorporated to support bullying prevention and broaden exposure to college and career opportunities. To understand the impact of this grant, it's important to understand you're investing in a proven program that is designed to empower young girls from underrepresented communities. Marion is a faith-based school welcoming adolescent girls from over 20 zip codes across the city. We have been breaking the cycle of poverty through life-altering education for over 25 years. Annually, we support 200 students across middle school, high school, college, and their careers. Marion is a catalyst of hope. In total, we partner with families for over 11 years, and we are a school beyond walls. Although 90% of our girls face poverty, our academic program enables them to graduate Marion at triple the academic success of their local public school peers. Our enrichment program outlined in this grant extends the school day by 2 hours during the danger hours when girls would ordinarily be without parental oversight. With safe and secure environment, our students choose from more than 25 different classes to build leadership and healthy decision-making skills and explore new interests in life passions, all in a safe and secure space. The program also includes on-campus counseling, therapy sessions, and wraparound connections for families suffering from homelessness, hunger, violence, and abuse. Our graduate support program provides academic, financial, mentoring support in addition to college and career readiness services for our alums in high school and college, resulting in 100% of our students graduating from high school and 100% going on to thriving post-secondary opportunities outpacing the national average. They are students like Lange, whose mother was addicted to drugs and living on the street. Although Lange was surrounded by violence, Marion illuminated a new path for her. Today, she's pursuing her social work degree at Washington University to be a child psychologist and help young people just like her. Other alums are leading in our communities as doctors, nurses, attorneys, and entrepreneurs. As you can see, Marion has become a safe haven for young women ready to change the world. Our students face unimaginable challenges, and through this program, we can continue to help them rise. Now it's my pleasure to introduce one of our outstanding alums who we recently hired to join Marion's team. Meet Miss Madison Jackson.
Please come forward.
Hello, everyone.
Good afternoon, and could you please just state your name for the record?
My name is Madison Jackson.
All right, please proceed.
All right. I am both a proud alumna of Marion Middle School, also a current member of its team, and I'm really grateful to have this opportunity to just show you how deeply our institution has shaped not only my life, but the lives of my sisters, my cousin, and the various students I work with today, and every single day. Marion is the most delightfully unique and transformative school my family has ever encountered. My two older sisters and I encountered the school by our older cousin, Alexis, in 2012, who was already attending. We had never experienced private education before and were incredibly nervous, but the moment we walked through Marion's doors, we saw girls who looked like us, who were curious, eager to grow and learn just as we wanted to. And through the Marion's Enrichment Program, we were able to feel that growth immediately. It extended our school day by 2 extra hours to allow us to safely explore new careers, activities, and learn so much more, whereas our counterparts were often left at home without supervision. And during those programs and during those times, we took cooking classes, robotics, dance, choir, and clubs that introduced us to various cultures and ideas through so many different amazing programs, like the Links Incorporated organization, which allowed many students to meet new leaders and innovators in their own fields. And through this program, we were not only safe, we were nurtured, we built healthy friendships, gained life skills, confidence, and a strong sense of purpose. Through that, we were taught to think critically, but to also act with empathy and faith as we carried on to become young women. One enrichment I remember was called Sister Circle, which taught myself and my peers the importance of building strong and healthy connections with one another as minority youth. There, I learned how to build sustainable relationships, a skill that still serves me today as I build relationships with my peers now as an adult, and also learn how to navigate, dealing with middle school children and helping them build up and become better women themselves. I have the privilege of seeing the meaningful impact daily in our Marion girls when they experience their enrichment classes. And as both an adult and part of the staff, I now truly understand the meaningful impact that these programs have. They keep students safe during critical hours, we offer therapeutic support, and we build a sense of purpose and possibility for our girls to achieve. That goal of truly helping people is why I decided to come back and join our mission all over again, to build in those girls what was built into me. And because of Marion, hundreds of our girls are now pursuing their education and their passions very boldly and very proudly. And I just want to say that Marion isn't just changing the lives, we are helping rewrite the entire futures of girls who otherwise would not have those necessary and very, very important opportunities. And that's why I believe that this program matters and why I proudly give back. And with that, I thank you all.
Thank you.
Next, we have Lauren Ming. She was online. Let's see if she's still here. She is.
There I am.
All right, Ms.
Good afternoon, everyone, and thank you so much for allowing me to offer testimony for Marion Middle School this afternoon.
Ms. Ming, if you could just state your name for the record for the clerk.
Yes, my name is Lauren Ming. I'm president of the Archway, Missouri chapter of the Links Incorporated, and speaking on behalf of the grant funding for Marion Middle School under Proposition S.
All right, you have 3 minutes. Please proceed.
Okay, thank you. So we are one of the partners that offer enrichment programs to Marion Middle School. And so before I talk about the programs we offer, I'd like to tell you a little bit about our organization and who we are. The Links Incorporated is a volunteer service organization with over 17,000 members in 299 chapters around the country and in the United Kingdom and the Commonwealth of the Bahamas. We are one of the nation's oldest and largest volunteer service organizations of extraordinary women committed to enriching, sustaining, and ensuring the culture and economic survival of African Americans and other persons of African descent. We have been privileged to pour into the girls at Marion Middle School for 10 years now, with a vision to develop future leaders and global citizens by expanding their awareness, education, and exposure to STEAM fields and broadening their worldview to enable them to achieve their full potential. Our outreach has included mentorship, career exploration, and career readiness through our speed linking program, HBCU awareness, monthly enrichment activities through our NSBE Junior chapter, which meets at the school. And NSBE stands for the National Society of Black Engineers, if you're not aware. We also offer enrichment activities at the St. Louis Art Museum, the Missouri History Museum, and other cultural institutions in the area. We have leveraged our relationships to develop unique and impactful programming for the girls at Marion Middle School, and these activities have a proven track record of enrichment and engagement for the girls. They serve to prepare them for the next phase of their educational journey and for life. This grant will help fund the existing programs that we offer and enhance and extend them to include students, alumni, and families in a speaker series, expanded career and college exploration through connection with external subject matter experts, conflict mediation, exposure to local cultural institutions and BIPOC artists, exhibits, film, dance, and theater, as well as careers in the arts. We are excited to continue our work with the girls and families at Marion Middle School and would very much appreciate your approval of this funding request to help us continue and expand our programming. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you. Next, we have Ms. Joyce Smith.
I do have a question, Madam Clerk, or Mr.
Sure,
Chair.
please proceed.
Thank you, Ms. Ming, and thank you for also testifying. And I've known Ms. Grimes for quite a few years and appreciate all the work you do at Marion, as it is in my ward. Just a quick question, and Ms. Ming, I don't know if this is better suited for you or Ms. Grimes. I should have earlier. I think the application, one question that we had is that there wasn't any, there was not a detailed budget or budget justification for the amount in the application. So are you saying what you're requesting is to be used, and there was, the reviewers seem to be unclear on what the difference between what you're programming and what this request was. So can you answer those two questions? Basically, it sounds like you want to extend and expand current programs, and maybe if you give us an idea of a more detailed budget than what you submitted.
Okay, so the budget includes both our program and programs that exist at Marion Middle School. So I believe in terms of our program, it will help us provide transportation for field trips to various cultural institutions. It will allow us to bring in subject matter experts and provide honorariums for those subject matter experts. We're planning to do 2 speaker series for both the students as well as the parents, and as well as alumni members of Marion Middle School. So that would require, funding for both panelists, honorariums for panelists, as well as potentially funding for space. As far as, so does that help answer your question?
It does. Thank you.
Okay.
I have no other questions.
All right, Madam Clerk, if we could get our next speaker.
Next, we have Joyce Smith.
Hi, my name is Joyce Smith.
Can you turn your
and I
camera on for me, Ms. Smith?
Can you say what again? I'm sorry.
Can you turn on your camera? We have to
Yes.
see your face. Thank you.
Hi, my name is Joyce Smith, and I am the founder, me and my husband, of Believe It Youth Organization. Our dedicated mission to equipping youth and the skills and experiences that support and transforms homes, classrooms, and communities. Our vision is centered on building healthy youth and thriving family relationships through a range of services, including after-school activities, mentoring and counseling, career readiness training, and academic scholarships. This commitment to serve is derived from our root in the St. Louis community, where we have been actively engaging in developing Black and Brown communities in a number of organizations. At Believe It Learning Center in Moline Acres, and also at Wagons and Wheels, and Believe It Youth Inc. in the Dutchtown community. Situated in the heart of Dutchtown, Believe It Youth Organizations and Wagons and Wheels provides year-round support to children and families through services such as after-school care, out-of-school time programs from ages 5 to 24. As a native of St. Louis, we have always been committed to giving back and inspiring positive change in the community that has supported us through our lives. Our organization has developed a deep root in the community, providing tailored service that address the unique needs of at-risk youth who may face obstacles to completing their education. Our proposed program, which focuses on health and wellness, aligns seamlessly with our mission and seeks to foster holistic development among youth through engaging activity. Believe It Youth Organization has consistent history of achieving outcomes through impacting youth programs. And so we just want to let you know that our program this year, yet it was new. We are new to this funding. We just got it last year, but we have been able to impact numerous of families. We feed on Wednesday and Friday, and we have fed hundreds of children throughout the Dutchtown community, not just through the Dutchtown community, but through the city of St. Louis. We make sure we go out and we feed these individuals. We have been able to also teach our children a skill. Many of them just completed the barber program that we had, and we also did it at Juneteenth. If you were able to attend, you will see the skills that these children have acquired doing this course. We have had several courses, from sewing clothes courses to event planning courses. We are now in the process of also preparing a music class that would teach them a skill on how to learn how to use these instruments. So we have been real instrumental in our community. We don't just say we're doing it. We go and sit down in these homes with the parents. We not only just give them classes, we have been able to supply them with beds and furniture and things like that are even not even included in our budget, but we just make sure that we try to meet the needs of the people in our Dutchtown community, because we believe that if we give our youth something to do, that will keep them from engaging in things that will lead to other different circumstances. So this is Believe It Youth, and we're hoping that you will see to fund us for our next upcoming year.
Thank you so much. Any questions? All right, Madam Clerk, next speaker, please.
Showing anyone raising their hand at this moment. So no, we don't have anyone else. Oh, there we go. There's someone else that just popped in.
Okay.
Paris Wilson, I'm going to promote over. Paris Wilson,
Yes, ma'am.
you're next to speak. Could you turn your camera on for me?
Yes, ma'am.
All right, Ms.
How you
Wilson,
guys?
you have 3 minutes. Please proceed.
Well, I'm with, my kids go to the program with Miss Joyce. I have my boys and my girls go with her. Yes, the program has really been helpful for me and my kids and my family as well. You know, she comes to pick them up, she drops them off, she takes them places. They, it's few days out the week that they go. It's actually, the program has really been helpful for them. You know, it gets them out. They experience a lot that they haven't experienced, like the barber class, as she said. My boys have never done that. So that was something that was interesting to them that they still, still want to be a part of the program with, not just the barber or whatever, wherever other programs that they have, because the programs that Ms. Joyce have, what she does and her husband does to pick them up, and when they take them places, that's really helpful. And that will be, if that program, if you guys keep funding them, I would like to keep I don't like my kids in the streets. So that is another good reason that, I'm glad that I met Ms. Joyce and my kids are part of the program, because it helps them keep them out of trouble. Other than that, yes, my girls enjoyed the program as well. It's helpful. It really is. They are helpful at every extent that they go, whether it's, food, clothing, taking the kids places, getting them food, buying them things that, that they ask for, that they are willing to give is commendable. And I think this program should stay open, just, because they are a community that keeps kids out of trouble and that helps them want to further along in everything other than just, barbering and, because they experience a lot of things. That's what I wanted to comment on.
Well, thank you so much.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
We have Mary Elizabeth, who spoke earlier. I think her hand is up.
Yes, I just wanted to address Alderwoman Velasquez's question regarding the budget. And just to clarify that what we requested encompasses what the links cost and their expenses, but also what Marion's expense is to include similar activities for our students in terms of keynote speakers and field trips, et cetera. So it is an inclusive budget and not necessarily separate of the two entities. The other thing is we did submit additional comments, and I just wanted to make sure that you received those. Thank you.
Thank you.
That will be all.
All right. Well, then at this point, I'll open it up to committee members. We have in our drive, if you all recall, when we begun this process, I guess last year was the first year that we actually had an outside entity rank the applications. Previous to that, this committee was just kind of making decisions based on the way that they felt about things. But last year we had an independent entity ranking the applications. We chose to do that again this year. And if committee members look in their drives, there's both all of the applications, and then there's the, excuse me, then there's the recommended applications per the rankings. And I'll just open it up for any committee members who want to discuss really anything. We'll just be informal from here, so feel free to jump in.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. So did we have anybody, just for clear, because I know some people, this is their first time on this process, and it's not my first time on this process, and I also fully understand and want to keep at the forefront the vision and the spirit behind this funding, right? And so do we have anybody from OVP or the other entity that did the scoring and the information that we see? Because I do have some questions, some follow-up questions with them that I just want to know in tracking. And then I want to be able to also speak to the fact that even the way, Mr. Chairman, that you just spoke about it, how we did it in the past by the way Alders felt, mattered because we are on the ground with our constituents, with our youth in our communities, watching and seeing the impact that these organizations make. So while at times, unfortunately, there's a negative connotation around us, being able to advocate for them, which is heartbreaking, because it's like you feel like you have to walk sometimes on eggshells to be able to fight for programming that we know is working, because you don't want it to negatively impact them in their opportunity. So I mentioned this, I think, before in our thing. I struggle with this because I absolutely want to fight for some of these organizations because I know the work they do, again, and I know the spirit that this funding was created in under our now clerk, former Alderman Terry Kennedy. So I think maybe if I get a little more understanding on this Prop S tracking sheet, and then maybe some questions answered, it'll help me understand, and then so that maybe moving forward, even though I've been in this process before, I just would feel a little more comfortable, and then to share that with our new colleagues.
Sure, but before we jump into that, I do know that Alderwoman Sonier has her hand. I want to make sure that she has a chance to weigh in before we get off track of what she may want to jump into. Alderwoman.
Hi, I just want to say that there is someone else who wants to testify. Their name is Nora. I think they might be logged on. I just sent them an email and responded, but they told me that they're logged on to testify.
Madam Clerk, do you see them?
Nora,
Okay.
Brian.
So if they could turn on their camera, we'll give them a few minutes to discuss. All right. If you could just state your name for the record. You're on mute. No, we can't hear you.
STL, can you unmute her? Okay, thank you.
Looks like they may be frozen now. We'll give just a minute here to see if we can get this working, and if not, we'll move on and circle back.
Hello?
There we go.
Yeah, I think she's having.
Yeah, I'm on my phone, which I'm not used to, sorry.
Okay, so now we can hear you, but we can't see you.
Okay, just cut your camera.
I don't know how to do it. Sorry.
Miss Nora, do you see on your Zoom screen that you're on, there should be like a control panel at the bottom, and the first button should be a microphone that says mute, and the second button should be like a camera, and it should say start video.
Yeah, I thought I already did that, but
It should be right at the bottom, like a bottom panel on your screen.
yeah, no, it's not doing it.
Try hitting that start video one more time.
Okay. Meeting ID. I'm so sorry. I think maybe you all know what I look like, though.
I do. Unfortunately, per our rules, the aldermanic rules require a video for us to allow discussion on it. But what you can do if you're having technical difficulties is you can email the clerk, and we can include that as written testimony, and we can make sure that gets included real quick.
Yeah, and Miss Nora, if you want to just email that to me, if you want to send it to me, I can get it to the clerk if you can't figure out your camera.
Okay. I'm not even seeing it. I'm on my little tiny phone and all that, so I'm sorry.
That's okay. We appreciate you showing up.
Definitely understand the technical issues, and yeah, if you just email Alderwoman Sonier, she'll make sure it gets to the clerk, and we'll include that testimony in the discussion.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you.
Apologies, and thank you. Bye.
No worries. Thank you. All right. Now back to where we were with OVP. Thank you.
Good afternoon, everybody. My name is Cynthia Davis. I serve as the grants manager for the Office of Violence Prevention. We were the department that provided the review and administration of this process. I did have a presentation prepared that just kind of talked about the process that we use, or I can just talk you through it, whichever
Whichever you prefer.
Is it already in our drive?
It's on the screen now.
Oh, okay.
It's in the drive as well.
Yeah, I thought I saw it in the drive.
Okay. So the proposals were sought for crime prevention programs from qualified nonprofit organizations serving at-risk youth ages 11 to 24 years old. You can forward a couple of screens, yeah. So the recommended qualifications for this program were that the programs must be held in the city of St. Louis and have a history of work centering equity in Black and Brown communities. The second qualification was that they must have experience providing programming in one of the following areas, which were public safety interventions, summer and or after school programming, recreational programming, violence interruption, mentorship, therapeutic services, social supports, and or community engagement. And finally, they must demonstrate close links to health, mental health, vocational, educational, and or social services for participant referral services. We targeted neighborhoods, the targeted neighborhoods are Dutchtown, Wells Goodfellow, Hamilton Heights, Walnut Park, Columbus Square, Carr Square, Peabody, LaSalle, O'Fallon, Penrose, Fountain Park, College Hill, and Baden.
Fountain Park.
I'm sorry, Fountain Park, I don't know what I said. You can advance a couple of slides. The specialty areas, so the
Alderwoman Sonier, you probably need to go on mute, Alderwoman.
Alderwoman Sanye, can you go on mute?
The RFP stated that that each proposal must address one or more of the specialty areas that are listed here. Academic instruction, which includes math, literacy, reading, STEM, STEAM, etc. Academic success supports, homework completion, tutoring, mentoring, health and wellness, such as nutrition, family engagement, social emotional wellness, life skills, etc. Sports, arts and culture, post-secondary success, such as career and vocational exploration, skill building, college readiness and job training, transportation for youth to take part in the program, and any other innovative ideas that our applicants could come up with. Next slide. These, the awards, the applicants were able to apply for up to $100,000 in funding for 1 year of award term. We received 44 proposals, totaling a little over $4 million. The budget that is available to award is $2,110,000. We were recommending 24 of those proposals that total a little over $2 million. The next slide, you can see the recommended proposals. I don't know if you want me to give you a brief overview of each one. I am prepared to do that, but I'll keep going because it's a lot of them. But the strengths of the recommended proposals, just at a high level and just some similarities, they had very solid goals and objectives. There was a high return on investment. And they were innovative and unique programs. Youth were involved in the creation of the programs that would benefit them. There were good partnerships and collaborations. There was a demonstrated impact or a good track record. The applications were focused in our targeted neighborhood. Programs will equip youth with a marketable skill and/or certificate for future employment and/or entrepreneurship. And they had good evaluation measures in place, and some of the programs were actually going to go directly into the schools. The non-recommended proposals you can see on the next slide there. These were not recommended for various reasons, but some of the similarities in those reasons were some of the businesses were not a registered nonprofit as the RFP stated they needed to be. They were unresponsive to follow-up questions and/or requests for revised budgets, et cetera. They failed to satisfy requirements of their existing contracts. We received proposals from some existing grantees, but they're struggling with their current programs. There was a lack of data to substantiate the need that they are proposing. Some had incomplete proposals or they did not follow the RFP guidelines. Businesses were not found on the Secretary of State website. There was a lack of staff for the proposed programs. Some of the proposals did not actually include a program, but just a list of activities that they wanted to do with no clear tie to violence reduction. And there was no clear tie between program and violence reduction. So that was just a general overview. The way we did this internally, once the proposals came in, we divided them up between our staff members. So most of the time, 2 staff members reviewed the same proposal, wrote an evaluation summary. We took those and that's how this proposal tracking log came about, because some had follow-up questions that needed to be answered, et cetera. So just a way to keep track of that. We did our due diligence as far as making sure that they are actually organizations, that they are actually nonprofits, and that they were able to answer our follow-up questions. So I would be happy to answer any specific questions you may have on that process. I'll answer what I can.
Thank you so much, and thank you for all that work and that explanation. So absolutely helps. And one of my bigger concerns you also addressed too in your comments, and that was the follow-up, because again, just looking at tracking and having done this now for the past 6 years and followed some of the organizations, not all of them, when I saw some of their some of the responses in it, I just wanted to make sure that there was follow-up, right? Because I know that sometimes if we can go back and get the answer is there. Maybe they just had, a challenge with that. And again, knowing the spirit of this funding, we know that these were grassroots organizations that sometimes may have even a weakness in grant filling out a grant, right? But they are absolutely saving our babies. So that's why that was one of my concerns. And then I know that in the past we have had some concerns about newer organizations having an opportunity again at this kind of funding. So I'll speak to that later. I'll see if my colleagues have any questions or anything like that. But I do want to hopefully look at maybe a few tweaks to this so that the opportunity is spread across the city first and foremost, and then see how we can maybe help some of the organizations that looks to be good, if they might not have the opportunity this year, prepare them with the back office for next year.
Yeah, if I could just add, one thing that I did fail to do with this log is there were questions that needed answers. I did get answers. I didn't always update the sheet with answers. But part of my goal for next year is to start doing some capacity building with our community organizations to help them better be prepared for grant opportunities.
Thank you.
So one thing that I noted in the presentation is if we were to fully fund everything that you recommended, there's still funds left.
Yes.
So I think Alderwoman Clark Hubbard, that may help with what you're getting at. I think if there's any groups that you feel may have been overlooked, that there are additional funds, even if we were to fully fund everything recommended.
It's approximately 30-ish thousand.
Yeah. Oh, and I see Alderman Aldridge, you have your hand up.
Yes, one quick question. I know last year we didn't also use all the funds. Did those funds like roll over to the funds for this year?
Yes, they do.
Yeah, they're part of that.
And you said, go ahead, I'm listening. And you said there's about 30,000 left?
Yeah, if everything that was recommended is fully funded at the recommended rate, there is approximately, I did the calculation, but I don't know where I wrote it. It's approximately 30,000-ish that would be left.
Okay, that's not my question, Chairman.
Thank you, Chairman. Thank you for being here, for explaining your process, and I appreciate a good PowerPoint, so thank you.
Canva, not PowerPoint.
Oh, Canva, but a good presentation, maybe much to the chagrin of some of my colleagues, but not here. Just a quick question, and looking at the scoring, can you just talk about, because I think my colleague, the elder lady from the 10th, pointed out, reminded us that this is to support grassroots organizations in particular, but can you just talk about how you looked at program or requests that were more programmatic and less, I see a mix of some of these funds are like directly covering salary, which goes back to your question about how do you increase capacity, right? But could you just talk about how you weighed those two elements?
Yeah, so the way we looked at it was we first looked at what is the organization proposing to do? What's going to be the end goal? What's the impact going to be on the children, the youth, I should say, sorry. Then we looked at how many are they going to be serving and you do a little math and see like a per person rate. But there were a lot of organizations that just wanted salary. If we did not see that they already had programming in place, that, now because I have this programming in place, I'm getting more students or more youth, and so I need more staff for that, that was heavily weighed positively versus those that were just asking for staff and nothing to do with the program.
Great, that's very helpful. That's all the questions I have for you, and thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Yeah, so I guess back to just discussion, if it has anything else to add.
I really don't.
I think what I would propose is that we fund everything that was recommended, and then if anyone has any specific tweaks, there is excess funds that we could look to. I see Alderman Aldridge, your hand is up again.
Yeah, Chairman Narayan, before I say we fund everything, because 30,000? That's extra?
Yeah, somewhere right in that neighborhood.
Yeah, so I would say before we take the motion to fund anything, it'd be interesting to see maybe the one that Alderwoman Clark Hubbard was talking about. I don't know where Alderwoman Sonier is, but I know she was interested in supporting Roosevelt. And I know last year what we did is even the ones that was recommended, we even like shaved maybe, 10 here or 10 there to be able to kind of spread the wealth for some of them smaller ones, knowing there's bigger ones out there, like, ones that have like better ability to raise money, like, and not in a negative way by saying it, but like big brothers, big sisters compared to maybe some of these some of these small ones. So before I guess we make a motion to approve the recommendations, I would be interested to hear from the Alderwoman of the 10th of which one she was thinking about that may not be approved, and figure out where the Alderwoman from the 7th went, because I know Roosevelt was one of her ones when we talked earlier.
Sure. Absolutely open to that.
So I didn't know if we were going to actually talk numbers yet, but I guess if we are, we can just jump right in. The obvious advocacy point in the room would be for who we heard from today. I mean, that hearing from her and her voice is the real life testimony, and then with the advocacy behind her. And I don't know if they've ever been funded through this opportunity before. So again, speaking back to the spirit of this funding to give new opportunities, which was, I just want to note, if you go back and look at our previous years, people lifted actual issues and concerns about the same organizations getting it and why not trying and working with others. So if I guess we can try to talk numbers now or wait to hear, but I would like at the minimum to try to afford them that opportunity with the excess, if not try to look at some additional, but I'll wait to hear from other colleagues.
Aldridge, your hand's up again.
Yeah, just for clarification for the Alderwoman of the 10th, which org are you talking about? So I know. Is it the Believe It Youth?
No, it was Merriam Middle School.
Okay. I support that also. I think hearing from Believe It Youth, it sounds like I think the parent that got on that just talked about how important that program is, again, seems to be another small organization that, if haven't got the chance to get funding from this proposal before, would be interested in looking at how we also can support that as well.
If we can hear from, I'm sorry to pull you back up here, but I just want to know, even if you can direct if there's any other opportunities before we start trying to pick at anything, is there anyone that's overfunded for what they asked for in your presentation?
No.
Okay.
I wish we had more money.
I know, right? Lord knows we need it.
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, if we had more money, we could obviously fund more organizations, because there were a lot of that are on the non-recommends for, honestly, technical issues, but
Mm-hmm.
One other thing that we may want to be mindful of if we're looking to defund anything that's been recommended, one of the things that we had asked OVP to take a look at was to make sure that the award amounts actually allowed the organization to do what they intended to do. So, if they needed, for simple numbers, if they needed $10,000, but giving them $9,000 wasn't going to allow it, then it doesn't really help the way that it's intended to.
So just even looking at the highest awards. Sorry. If I'm reading it correctly, okay, maybe I ask it this way. Which ones of these are there? Do you have that tracked? I'm sorry, which one is the first time getting this funding, if any, on this list?
I think I can eyeball it from what I've only been here almost a year. I don't know that we funded Four Walls and Behind, Jacob's Ladder, Propel, Metro Theater Company. I'm not sure about Thomas Dunn and the Community Wellness Project. I know they're not in our current portfolio.
Okay. So again, because I follow, want to follow the guidance and believe in the work that you all have done clearly, I would say if I'm hearing from you and from the chairman correctly that these are, what they need, there's no wiggle room in any of these anywhere, then at the minimum, I would advocate to award Miriam Middle School at least that excess.
I think it was 35, right at 36.
And try to work.
35.9.
Which, just for the public to know, that's not the least award that's given, and it's not the, as highest. So, and this is all public information. It's not like it's a secret, but I just want to make sure that people know, like this, we really value the work that these organizations and these programs are doing, and so we don't take it for granted. But again, for me, and being here today, I would feel comfortable with at least awarding them that excess and trying to work towards maybe something different for next year for them, since this is their first time.
So just to make sure that I'm understanding you, you're saying we go with the recommended amounts from OVP and then award the excess to Marion?
Yes.
Okay, I'd be comfortable with that. Does any other committee members want to weigh in before anyone makes a motion on that? Sonia and Aldridge, you both have your hands up. I forget which one of you has seen me. Sonia, I believe Sonia has senior.
Ms. Nora did email me her testimony, so Chair, if you wanted me to read that or just speak to it. I just saw that they did apply for the funds, they were not recommended, and I saw the reasons that they weren't recommended, so I asked if she can make sure that was in the email, and that is in the email.
How lengthy is the email? Does it make more sense to get it onto the drive so that members can view it, or does it make more sense for me to read it?
Yeah, I think it probably makes more sense for me to just summarize for us today.
Please do.
So I did want to advocate for them to get funding, because I think we experienced one of the things that really threw Roosevelt off is that they operate in an academic year. And last year, because of the way that Prop S funds went, they did not actually get the funds until November because we were a little delayed on their timeline, but they rely on the school year. I did see in the form that they had some challenges with getting all of the money spent, but that was primarily because they were awarded the money after, at the end of the kids go on Thanksgiving break for a portion of November, about 2 weeks, and then they only have about 2 weeks left in December before they go on the holiday break. They also had some challenges connected to the school district with the bus crisis that we all heard of and are familiar with. So those have been some of their struggles. There is reasons now to believe that the bus crisis is a lot more under control. They have a new contractor, a new vendor, but I just did kind of want to uplift what was in the email and what was stated to me, that they struggled because they were given the Prop S funds outside at the end of the first semester of the academic year, and also because of course shortages, and obviously a lot of their programming relies on kids being able to get to school, and kids all across our city and our public schools were not able to.
Got it. Aldridge?
My fault, taking me a little minute to get there. I was just going to say, I guess I got a question for OVP individual. I don't want to, I'm sorry, I missed your name.
Cynthia.
How you doing, Miss Cynthia?
I'm good.
Question that I have, so I'm just looking at some of the ones that got the 100,000, and Chairman Narayan had said, they may have requested these amounts, and we don't want to take away from them if the amount can't necessarily fulfill, I guess, the role. For some of these, or maybe you're able to speak to if we were to make a cut. And I'm guessing you guys seen they budget if that would, I guess, affect, and maybe they'll speak more to it, they're not here, but affect if they would be able to still be successful with not as much as what was requested. And do they, I guess, have a level of minimum that they could have took if they didn't get the 100?
Sure, I can speak to that. So the maximum amount was $100,000 that organizations were able to apply for. We would be more than happy, if you all want to suggest different amounts, we would be more than happy to go back to those organizations and just ask, are you able to still do this program and have this impact for X amount of dollars? We can absolutely do that.
Yeah, and I don't want to hold it up. I was just, because this money is important, so I'm definitely not trying to hold it up and wouldn't suggest that. I was just curious maybe if that data was available as y'all, did the requirements. If is there a minimum amount that they would have took outside of the maximum, if there was a range of how much they needed?
Yeah, no, we did not ask about the minimum, but what we did do was ask for the budget and the budget justification, and we made sure that the budget and the budget justification matched what they were trying to do. And if they didn't, you would see notes on there that, the budget justification wasn't substantiating the activities of the program.
Okay. To the committee, I don't necessarily say I got a hard push on it, but even if it's not a lot, I do think, as we talk about, as we heard from, again, the Believe It youth, would love to see if we could just try to get some to them. And I'm looking at organizations like Affinia, who got the max, do great work, kind of more of a bigger organization. Boys and Girls Clubs Greater St. Louis, bigger organization that holds kind of a larger fundraiser. I see Jacob's Ladder never got it, so never want to take away from them. To the yeah, I'll just stop there at the moment. I'll just throw it out there. If we could fund Affinia at 80,000 and Boys and Girls Club at 80,000 and Better Believe in Youth at 40, that would just be my ask to the committee.
Do you know how much money that frees up?
If we funded both of both of those organizations at 80 rather than 100, that would free up 40, but under Aldridge's proposal there, that 40 would go to Believe It Youth.
And question, did we fund Believe It at Youth last year to OVP?
We did,
Yes,
yeah.
we currently fund, we did currently fund Believe It Youth. There's an explanation on the tracking log as to why they were not recommended. And that conversation was had with them previously.
Hi, Miss Cynthia. I know we keep on, it's like up, down, up, down. Can you just, I know that, as was mentioned before, trying to balance between some of the, organizations that maybe have capacity to, and expertise in writing grants, maybe some of the newer ones that we want to build capacity, who maybe are not quite to that same level as the bigger organizations. So can you just talk a little about, because I see some of the ones that were not recommended, I think part of, it sounds like they were having issues just kind of meeting the current grant requirements. Can you just talk a little bit about your timeline for helping some of these orgs build capacity? Because I think I'm going to speak for my colleagues here, or maybe not speak for them too much, but I think, we want to make sure that the money has the most impact, right? But also weighing out that some organizations have, more capacity and built-in expertise than others, and we want to grow, these grassroots organizations so they have that capacity, but maybe my assumption, and please, I used to be a reporter, so I don't like to assume, is that some of the difficulty meeting those current grant requirements are about capacity. Ish.
Yes and no.
Okay, that's why you never assume, right?
Yeah, grassroots organizations are definitely my passion as well. What we witnessed, I don't know if it was a lack of capacity. Some people just did not answer whole questions. Even when we did follow up, because we gave every organization the opportunity to, if they were missing something, we gave them the opportunity to send it. Some did, some went radio silence, and we didn't hear anything more from them. Some of the organizations that were not recommended we looked at their websites, their Facebook pages, and, just wanting to make sure that they're viable organizations. Some we couldn't get on some were not even registered on Secretary of State's website. So to me, that's bigger than the capacity, that's administrative. But I totally agree that some of these organizations, they don't have the grant writer on staff that they can do it. They're that one person, they're doing it all. My hope would be, regardless of the outcome of this vote, that in preparing for this, if we're doing this same funding program next year, we can start working with all of our organizations to help them build this capacity that they need. How to write a grant for the city. How to just follow the instructions in the grant. I'm a grant writer, so that's one of those things that just comes out in me. But so yes, that was a long way of saying yes. Some of it is capacity. I think we can help them build that capacity, but for them to have totally been non-recommended, they either were non-responsive to our questions and follow-up, or they just didn't do anything or were not a viable organization.
And does that apply to previous grant awardees that are not meeting the grant requirements?
For our current grant awardees that are not meeting the requirements, so part of our due diligence in our office with our current awardees, we do site visits, they do monthly program reports and monthly data reports. They also have monthly meetings. So we're touching them a lot and helping them, because we want these programs to succeed. Some of them like with Roosevelt, it may have been a question of timing when they received the funds, and the things that happen with the school districts. But others, there were just a lot of things that no matter, I think they bit off more than they can chew. They tried to do all of these things instead of trying to do a couple of things well before they really got their footing. So we are still working with those organizations in preparation for the next time this comes around, they'll be ready. So I hope that answers your question.
It does, because I think, I think with that, it's helpful for us to know that if, say, there was a previous awardee and they're not meeting their requirements, does it make sense to fund them now, or is there an ability for the city, for us to work with them so we could prepare them and position them to be in a place to.
Yeah, I think we can repair them and put them in that position, but not right now, maybe for the next time. That would be my.
No, thank you, Ms. Cynthia.
I just want to thank you too, again, for the capacity, the willingness, right, to build that capacity in them. And I think even to the point that was mentioned several times today is we just don't have enough in this. But I guess while you all are here and while OVP is represented, if there is any other opportunities, right, since this is captured and shared and people can see, if there's, for people that may be watching and didn't get this opportunity this time, are there any other opportunities in OVP now or in the future that you know of coming up?
Not at the moment. We just had a grant program prior to this one. We are in the process of seeking additional funding so that we can open new funding opportunities outside of what the city would fund.
Thank you. I guess, girl, I know you sick of me. But I mean, before you sit down this time, share how people can, in organizations and somebody that might want to even just get in contact and see what the work that OVP office does, how they can get in contact with you all.
So you can, we have our Office of Violence Prevention has its own website that can be found on the city, through the City of St. Louis's website. If you just type in Office of Violence Prevention, it'll take you there. I don't even know our main number, but you can call me. Our PIO, our Public Information Officer, Bret is here. He would be more than happy to get in contact with anybody or reach out. Our program managers are constantly in the communities helping these organizations. So my name is Cynthia Davis. I'm the grants manager. Feel free to reach out.
Thank you so much.
Mm-hmm.
All right, so do we have an idea on how we want to proceed then?
I was still comfortable with especially after the additional context from Ms. Davis with following their lead and with the excess going to Narayan. Yes.
And Alderman Aldridge, Alderwoman Saunier.
I mean, I still, and I appreciate the work that OVP do and the explanation. I still kind of stand where I stand, and I don't know if that need to be like a motion to add to bettering youth. I'm probably saying that wrong, I'm sorry. But yeah, that's kind of where I am. Believe it for use, I think so.
And Saunier?
Yeah, I'm in support of, looking at where we can make cuts to make other additions happen. I am, I do wish we had the opportunity time-wise to go back and check with those organizations and figure out, I'm sure some funding is better than no funding, but what that would look like. But it sounds like we have a desire to take a vote today and move it forward. But yeah, I don't know. I think we experienced this last time as well. I just think this whole timeline for the process really needs to be looked at because if we're hoping to take a vote today and we just got the documents today, that doesn't leave us much time to review and have conversations and consider, I think to make necessarily the best decision. So if we have to move today, like we can do that. But to the committee in general, I just want to uplift that I think we really need to look at the timeline for this.
If excuse me, if members of the committee want some more time to look at this, I'm certainly open to having a meeting next week and holding a vote then if people would prefer that.
I would prefer that because I would love to just go and have a further conversation with Roosevelt or the organizations and figure out, what does it look like if you don't get the funding, or what could be adjusted before we just, kind of take a vote. And, some of them may hopefully see this and see the discussions and see where we're going. I would appreciate some additional time.
I'm not opposed to that because it would be helpful, and I appreciate all the work that OVP do. Have a deeper conversation. I see some of the reasons why, like you say, maybe Roosevelt didn't get it or Believe in the Youth didn't get it, but hearing Alderman explanation kind of understand kind of the barrier that they end up falling into, especially with the school district, and just would love to have maybe a deeper conversation with OVP about some of the non-requirements in the private sector, just to get probably a better understanding instead of just the few sentences on the spreadsheet, which I appreciate all the work that you guys did to create and put this process forward.
Absolutely, Alderman. My feeling on it, just so that I'm transparent about where I'm at with it, I think that we allocated money to have these applications ranked, and I believe that we should follow those recommendations. I'm comfortable doing whatever with the excess, but I don't want to get too in the weeds with the recommendations that have already been put forward. I think that starts to really look like we're picking winners and losers here, which is one of the reasons why I at least preferred to have an independent body rank these applications so that we didn't, so that we weren't playing politics, we weren't picking winners and losers, that we knew that we were awarding these funds based on actual metrics that were going to be able to be tracked, and so that we know that we're getting actual use out of our dollars here. Alderman Aldridge.
No, I hear you, Mr. Chair. I will say, if we talking about what we did in the past, just literally last year, we moved people with the support of folks on this committee who was not recommended or didn't get the recommended amount, and we reduced from others and gave to one. So we literally, I think some of the suggestions that we're making last year, we end up giving Roosevelt more money than what was recommended. So I'll push back and say it's definitely not picking winners and losers and playing politics. Definitely wish we could fund all of these, but yes, for the last 2 years, there's been a process where now there's a grading scale. Talking to Clerk Kennedy going back, that hasn't always been. I think that the grading scale is helpful, but even I think something that Alderwoman Clark Hubbard said is, or the woman who from OVP is, all organizations have different capacities. And if this is really about helping the grassroots, sometimes we got to understand that those grassroots organizations don't have the same resources and support that maybe some of these bigger ones. And some of these bigger ones, while I appreciate the work that they do, also have other avenues if it's going out for state funding or if it's going out for different funding. And some of these smaller ones don't have that capacity to do one. So it's not always white or black off of a grading scale as well. I just want to be clear on the record.
Absolutely. So what I'm hearing is that there's some people want to have a vote on this today. Some people want more time with it. I'm comfortable either way. I can tell you from where I stand, you know, I want to make sure that we do the best that we can to respect the work that's been put in by OVP as far as ranking the applications goes. Any excesses, of course, are excess, and we can look to do whatever we would like with those. So with that, I guess, do committee members want to wait until next week, or do committee members want to have a vote today?
I just want to say for the record too, that echo what you said, Chairman. I think it's important to acknowledge the work that OVP did, and also I think that there is, I think there's a level of deference I think we should give to that, and making sure that there is a level of autonomy if we're going to hand it off to people, because, you know, if we're, and we did run into this last year, if we're kind of just picking and choosing based on an unsent criteria, that puts us in a really tricky situation versus having, I think, more or less blind evaluations with a specific grading scale. I think I think we should just be aware of that and defer for the most part to that process and maintain a level of independence. And that doesn't mean we can't look at things closer, but I think they've already put in a lot of the work in an equal way, in a way that I'm not sure we'll be able to get to in one more committee hearing, because we won't be reevaluating every proposal. So
I agree with you. I think, you know, if we start opening these up, you know, I've been a part of awarding these funds for, I don't know, many years now. And I know that once we start opening it up, it is a can of worms. So I'd like to stick with the recommendations rather than doing a bunch of tinkering, because otherwise pretty much everyone is, you know, everyone wants to give as many of these organizations as possible money, but we also end up in a position where you're giving a bunch of people not enough money to actually get things done.
The one year we tried to do that, that's absolutely what it was. The one year that we tried to fund everybody as, you know, a cut of what it was to your point and to the point that was shared here by Ms. Davis and OVP. That was almost borderline in vain, because it wasn't enough, and it's what we tried to do, right? And so, again, I think I agree with the comments that have been made thus far, and knowing that this is not the last, right? Knowing that there are opportunities that will be coming up to build and maybe meet the needs that were defaulted on in some of these this year that are currently still even receiving funding now. You know, that's, again, I agree with moving forward with this. And I know that looking at some of this, that some of these programs, the timeline is definitely an issue here, because some of these programs are summer programs and we're in the summer and they need the funding now. And so I agree with Alderwoman Sanye about looking at, if we have purview to look into the timing of this and changing it, then maybe we do that. But as for this one, in the situation where we find ourselves in now, I'm afraid if we ask for a week and this is a holiday weekend, what does that look like? So, you know, it wouldn't be a full week of opportunity, even for, not fair to the organization or our colleagues. So
I agree with you. And you know, last year we did acknowledge a timing issue. And I think this year our timing would have looked a lot better if not for a tornado that came through and, you know, put this on kind of a political back burner as people were addressing more pertinent, more immediate needs throughout their wards. It was really hard to get a quorum for, almost a month. And so I just want to acknowledge that with a little bit of luck next year, that should not be the same type of issue. And I see both Saunier and Aldridge's hands are up again. Alderwoman Saunier.
Thank you. I just wanted to say I do totally understand the need to be deferential to OVP who did the work, but I do think it is necessary on our end to take a look because I would just flag for the committee and for the chairman that, I think Roosevelt is a good example that they're kind of being punished of not getting rewarded for funding because they didn't spend all the money. But if you don't get the money until November, whereas opposed to you were supposed to be able to offer that program and all semester long and the academic year starts at August, you don't get it to November. You basically have 2 weeks to get the programming out. So I think OVP's process is really great. I like having the metrics, but I also think we need to consider circumstances like that. I know we all have our things, but for them in particular, there's a lot of concern of, cutting something that is an avenue for some of the, teenagers and some of the young people at the school to get access to food, to get access to some other, programming that is really needed, especially, to be honest with you all, given all the other funding that's being cut for some of the things that these families rely on at other levels. And then now we're coming through and cutting a program for them that offers something. It's just not ideal. And I don't think it's fair for them to not be rewarded. Of course, I understand you would say, well, they didn't spend all the money, but I think what's not taken into context is they only were able to, what they were supposed to do for 2 semesters, they only were able to do really in 1. And that is why they're not recommended, is because they were unable to spend all their funds. But that was because of us and our timeline, independent of the school. So, I just wanted to uplift that as a part of the conversation.
Totally understood. Alderman Aldridge.
I promise I won't go back and forth so we can get done. I just want to, because since this is on the record, we as a committee, if I'm not mistaken, the clerk sent us an email maybe at 10 or 9 something this morning saying that the proposal stuff was in the drive. So, definitely echo, and this is no shot at OVP. We appreciate the work that they do. But also, when you talk about timing, yes, we did have a tornado. I know many committees still did meet to try to get the work done. This is almost to say probably part of tornado relief to give some of these organizations, Diamond Divas that's out here that's been doing the work, even I would say an urgent need that this committee probably could have met sooner. Several other committees have been meeting during this disaster to get funds out. And, receiving this information, at least unless I'm wrong, and please clarify to me, Chairman, we literally just got the email from the clerk this morning saying that the proposal was in the drive. So we didn't even have, if we did have questions to OVP or had questions to some of these organizations, didn't have the time to vet it ourselves. And that is also, part of our job. I'm glad we are giving independent eyes on it, into an organization that do amazing work, but not to be able to vet it ourselves or to be able to get more deeper details and information to maybe sit down with OVP and go through several of some of these ones that wasn't recommended, not just a few wording that, hey, they didn't use the funds, like with Alderman and Tanya giving more detail on that, I think would be helpful. Now, if we move forward and just want to take the recommendations, I don't see what a week hurts unless OVP is saying that if we pass this today, they're going to get the money out to the groups, which I still think we have to pass this on the floor anyway. And we have 2 meetings coming up next week, I think, Tuesday and Friday. So I don't see what the hurt would be to try to get a little bit more information. But if we do move forward and say we only going to go with the recommendations, I think that would also probably stand for not using the access, because then that's saying, well, we're picking what organization get access for these additional funds and not going with the recommendation.
All right. I think what we're going to do here, just because I want to make sure that the committee members, whether I agree with them or not, have enough time to be comfortable with the materials. So I'm going to talk to the clerks and see if we can get a meeting earlier than next Thursday, but early next week, so that people have the long weekend to go over materials and bring any concerns or adjustments or anything like that to a meeting early next week. And at that point, I think we should be able to vote and get this out and only cause, a few more days of any holdup. I want to move with some diligence here, since some of these are summer programs, and make sure that we get those funds to people to organizations as quickly as possible. But I think at this point, waiting a few more days and giving people some more time is probably the prudent thing to do. So go ahead and take the next few days and go over those, and I'll call a meeting. I'll discuss with the clerk and call a meeting early next week, and we'll continue to take this up then. So at this point, I guess that really wraps up the discussion for today, unless anyone has anything pertinent for discussion for right now. Not seeing any hands go up, nothing over here. All right, then I'll entertain a motion to excuse Alderman Oldenburg.
So moved.
All right, it's been moved and seconded. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All right, with that, we've excused Oldenburg. Does anyone have any announcements?
Everyone have a safe, emphasis on the safe 4th of July.
And I will say to the 9 people listening to us on YouTube, this year, it's even more important to not shoot off fireworks inside city limits. There's a lot of structures that have roof damage. On a normal year, it's stupid. This year, it's terrifically stupid. So go somewhere else and blow things up. And with that, I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Adjourned.